we would, if you can put your camera on, that'd be great. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Okay, so I know that our goal was to have all our folks on one camera, on one monitor, and then the content on the other. But
It's not going to happen that way.
I see that we have like the 2 pages. So let me fix it on this side. Okay. All right. So it's going to show 6 at a time. But we do have our other.
7. Okay.
Yeah, 7.
Okay. Okay, and we're recording. All right. So let me grab a pen. Okay, so we can start.
Okay, what time we got officially? I've got about 20 till
9:42.
42. Okay. We're at 9:42.
I'm going to make this bigger so people can see.
You ready to go now, Annette?
Yes, sir.
You recording?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And you have the presentation, right, in that part?
Yes. Mhm. I'll just stay here and cue it up when you guys are ready.
Okay, Annette, I'll do that.
Okay.
Good?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay. We have a quorum at 9:42. I'm going to call the meeting of the Upper Rio Grande Flood Planning Group, 20 March 09:30 original start time, 9:42 now to order. Welcome everybody here. Are there any public comments? And Omar's not up, right?
No,
He's
so
got his proxy.
if I may, Chair, I'll just, I'll introduce our members since we're a small group, just to ensure that we have everyone accounted for. We do have Carlos Velarde, Jeff Bennett, Levi Bryan, Gilbert Saldana. We do have Dave Hall here in person. Larissa Knapp Scott is a proxy for Javier Acosta. And then we have Adriana Policio with the City of El Paso, serving as a proxy for Omar Martinez. And is there anyone else that I missed in terms of proxies or members? Okay. And then also in person here at the Council of Governments, staff from Council of Governments, as well as AECOM, Gilbert Salania, and Gilbert Andujo. Sorry, Gilbert, I want to make you an AECOM. Gilbert Andujo and Travis Brandt. Thank you. And then we also have Nick Collins here in person, who is our planner for Water Development Board. So thank you, Travis, for making the trip out. Okay, and that'll be everybody.
All right, let's go to item 3, which is review and approve the minutes for the meeting held December 19th, 2024. Any comments on those minutes? If there are no comments, can I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Levi,
And somebody second, please.
don't be shy.
Jeff
you wanna
second.
just- Can you unmute and,
Second.
thank you, sir.
Okay, any discussion? Little background discussion there, somebody's mic is hot.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, everybody, all approved, please say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, Nick, Texas Water Board updates.
So TWDB sent out an email newsletter on February 21st. Topics included TWD flood planning staff updates, information on obtaining BLE information, and minor updates to Exhibit C. The newsletter is posted on our website. On February 28th, TWDB sent out communication via email regarding updates on 2 key resources, the building data set and the infrastructure assessment toolkit, which I did email to both the sponsors and tech consultants for all of my regions. So if y'all did not get that, please let me know. Please be sure to review the resources available on our TWD flood planning website And then on March 14th, the updated existing conditions cursory floodplain data set became available for download on the data hub. And if anybody would like me to put that information on the meeting chat for y'all to look at, please let me know and I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Gilbert, your item 5.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dave, and good morning, everybody. Nick and Annette and everybody else here present and the Region 14 members. We're here to just give you an update of the progress of the work that we're doing up here, so if you can share the presentation there, Aaron. I would appreciate it. Next slide, please. So today we're basically going to cover the updates, and we're also going to discuss and present the FMEs that are going to be submitted for the amendment to the 2023 regional flood plan that we did, and we're also going to request approval to incorporate the FMSs and FMEs into this plan as well. Next slide, please. Next slide. So these are the meetings and updates that we have for you guys. You know, April 1st is going to be our submittal date. That's when we need to have our information submitted to TWDB. That'll be our second regional flood plan amendment that we are submitting to TWDB. We're also going to have some other meetings coming up in September 19th, November 25th of this year. But I think the forecasted meetings are the better ones here. Today's meeting is to cover this information that I already covered. We're also looking to have some other meetings in May and July, so please have your try and make some time available for those meetings. We'll be moving on and working on the second part of this plan update. We're also on September 4th of this year, we're going to have a technical memorandum meeting. We'll have the information sent to you all, and we'll cover that information on there. And moving on into 2026, we'll be covering the FMEs that are going to be performed for this RFP here. We also have February 4th. We're looking to submit the draft for the 2028 regional flood plan that's going to be due to TWDB. And moving forward, December 16th of 2027, we're looking to adopt and submit that 2028 RFP to TWDB. As we move along, we're going to disseminate the information for you guys like we've done in the past. And if you guys have any questions right now, I would appreciate it.
We've got a meeting on March 27th, which is not noted up there.
Correct. We have a meeting on March 27th to go ahead and get the final approval, because we are presenting the information that we're going to submit here. We are going to have a week to have comments on that. Once we get those comments, we'll go ahead and address everything and get it approved on the March 27th meeting, which is next week on Thursday. And I believe we're shooting for an afternoon meeting, guys.
Yes, because we're doing them 1 week apart from each other and the requirements that we have in terms of how we post, we're asking for some flexibility. We can have the meeting either at 1 o'clock or 1:30. That way we can ensure that we have all the documents uploaded as required. So show of hands, are we okay with 1 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Central, or do we prefer 1:30? So how about 1 o'clock Mountain? Raise of hands. Is that okay with everyone? I have 2, 3. Carlos, I'm nodding 5. Okay. All right. So we'll go with 1 o'clock on the 27th of March. And we anticipate that will be a short meeting. It's going to be approval of this amended plan after receiving comments, and then we'll have another item for our vacancies.
Go ahead, next slide, Aaron. That being said, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Travis to go over the discussion and presentation of these FMEs and FMSs.
So this slide and the next show the FMSs. These were developed in the previous cycle through miscommunication, misunderstanding with TWDB. There was a database issue and they were not initially ranked. We have fixed that geodatabase issue, but we want to present these to you guys that these will be included and ranked in this as part of this amendment in the next cycle going forward. So this is all the same data that we've seen before.
Is there any significant change as a result of the ranking?
They will be ranked. There was a database issue that prevented them from ranked. that we were not able to rectify by the time of the previous submittal.
Are they ranked the way we asked that they be ranked?
We
Or
won't
wait,
know.
we won't, oh, TWDB is gonna rank them?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it, I understand. Okay,
This is all the information we submitted as part of the original flood plan.
Mhm.
okay,
Dave, that was submitted back in
I
2023.
understand, yeah,
And so they weren't ranked. So now we're submitting them again. That way TWDB can rank them and they can be available for funding through the 5th.
when do we expect to get that ranking back?
That's a good question. I don't believe, I know they're gonna be added because they have to be added to the state flood plan. Well, y'all had updated the state flood plan. So I believe with the 5th amendment, all the added FMXs will be added to the ranking. I don't know when that ranking system will be coming out, but I can definitely get that, and I'll make sure to get a note to get back to y'all.
Okay.
Sure.
Just let Gilbert know if you can and Omar. Okay. All right. I'm just wondering if we have to do something, if we have any kind of disagreement with the Water Development Board ranking.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have to take some initiative because we think something is
Yeah.
not correct, it would be nice to know when we need to do that.
Yeah, I will make sure by next meeting that I have an answer. If not, send you an email before then.
The 27th?
Yes, I'll have an
Good.
answer by then.
Okay,
And,
right.
and I think, Nick, when you guys, put those rankings out, you'll have a public comment period, right?
Correct.
To allow the.
Correct.
So we get feedback.
We'll still be able to have feedback on there on the
Good.
rankings and all
Good.
that.
Yes,
Okay.
so yeah, feedback will be appreciated and also encouraged.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay.
Next slide.
So this is the continuation of that same list. There are 2 pages of it. So the largest change by far is the addition of these FMEs through various meetings with municipalities and stakeholders. They were able to identify some project areas that they would like further investigation on. So these pages are going to be a summary of those. In our discussion of the areas of Canutillo with El Paso County and local representatives, these were some areas in the region. On the left, you can see Anthony Street in red and a channel crossing under the road and to the railroad bridge. They've experienced flooding and sediment deposition in these areas. These are both going to be submitted as individual FMEs for funding to see if we can get those areas alleviated. On the right side of the screen, there's a proposed basin they've been looking at on that property. There hasn't been any engineering evaluation, so they would like to see what it would take to get a basin built there, what sort of storage capacity it would get, and how much flow it could intercept. With that basin, there would be have to be a discharge channel or pipe out to the river, and there's also some improvements to another channel in that area that they're looking at. Those are going to be submitted separately as FMEs. One, because the channel improvements connect to a channel running more north, and the second because they still want this channel even if the basin isn't eventually constructed. So those are going to be submitted separately, but they do have a lot of similar impact areas.
That channel's marked in red on there?
In blue. So the channel, the discharge channel for the basin is in red, and the existing
I see
channel
the
for
blue over
improvements is
here.
blue.
That's the blue. This
Okay.
is the basin area that we're looking at.
Okay, I thought maybe the red, okay, all right. Okay,
Next slide. So this is the Sparks Arroyo. El Paso County has been looking at getting this lined. There's a lot of erosion and sediment movement in this area. So it's been a priority for getting it repaired and rehabilitated and stabilized. It's a little more difficult. It's a little more difficult than this one because it's primarily an erosion and sedimentation issue. It's not causing a lot of flooding directly, but the indirect impacts are going to be studied for where that sediment is going, what impacts it's having downstream, and if we can improve some of the flooding results downstream by armoring this section. So this is something that El Paso County proposed and would like to seek funding for.
Is that already a ponding area at the bottom end?
Yes.
Yes.
It's already there?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is an existing channel. It's just they're having consistent, significant
Okay.
erosion, and it's leading to additional maintenance expenses.
Okay.
Next slide. So this is Crockett County. Crockett County, on the left, you can see the triangles represent low water crossings. Their community is kind of split into three sections based on these rivers there. And currently, most of them are low water crossings. They've had some issues with flooding, with vehicles getting washed away. They haven't had any fatalities in recent times, but it's a concern that they're worried about. They're looking to upgrade two main crossings, one on each river, but then looking at getting flood warning control at these other low water crossings with some sort of barrier system to say, hey, we don't use this now because there's water coming and we want to get through it. On the right there, you can see a ponding area and then the highway there. So they're seeing additional flooding impacts after the construction of the highway. They don't know if it's, this is Crockett County, and I believe this is Ozona.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We talked with Crockett County, and this was what they were aware of. I don't believe we managed to talk with anyone specifically in Ozona city government, but the county was aware of the issues that they were having. As I was saying, the highway is producing some flows. They wanted to get that looked at, and they're also experiencing ponding in the area under the blue. They don't know if that's from the highway or from some other area or just from some other drainage impacts. This area doesn't have detailed recent modeling, and so with the regional flood planning group's plan of getting more modeling in the area, these two areas were identified and submitted. Go to the next slide. This is Hudspeth County, Loma Linda, and to the north is Desert Haven. These areas are rapidly developing communities that don't currently have existing floodplain mapping, and that was something Hudspeth would like to get funding for. One of the things that, well, actually two things on here is Hudspeth County is concerned about evacuation routes for Loma Linda and Del City. They requested them to be included as FMEs, but due to the scale and scope of those projects, the plan is to include them as FMSs in either the next cycle or the next amendment. What we thought could be done as just a series of evaluations and investigations is going to have to turn into a larger FMS where we have a ranking and then specific project development. The other one is dams in Hudspeth County. They're currently behind on their inspections and evaluations and emergency action plans. We've been talking with TWDB about the requirements for getting those submitted as FMEs. Unfortunately, we were not able to get that the prerequisite information done before this timeline. So that will be included either in the next cycle or the next amendment. And thank you, Nick, for helping that communication with Reem. It's been great. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. We're good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So there is talk in Culberson County about how to utilize some of these floodwaters in managed recharge projects. And, my organization works very hard at repairing, rehydrating streams above these towns. Like we have a project above Marfa. I'm just wondering if we can be proactive and think about how floodwaters might help with our water supply. Instead of just ponding it so that it evaporates, maybe we could think about some sort of active or managed recharge with some of these floodwaters. And I think Loma Linda would be a great place to think about that. Maybe not so much Ozona because it's right in the middle of town, but working above some of these communities in ways to put water into the aquifers might be. It seems like a missed opportunity if we're not thinking about what to do with these floodwaters besides just pond them and evaporate them.
Yeah, I think,
It may be too late. I don't know. That's just if the engineers that were, if AECom was thinking about those things, I think it'd be helpful.
yeah, it was discussed as part of the evacuation route plans. If you want to go down to the next one. So a lot of these evacuation routes are along major roadways in very rural areas. And in these areas, these are major highways. And so any like reconstruction project on those major roadways is going to be prohibitive due to coordination and scale. So when looking at, any areas where we're seeing risk, we probably would not end up touching the roadways, and we would be looking for more watershed-wide remediation projects, whether that's, slowing down flow, and that's where those, green watershed scale kind of projects really shine, is when you can assess the watershed, because we're potentially going to be prohibited from touching the road system. So we'll be looking at more watershed scale stuff. And so, infiltration or slowing the flow and getting this back into the aquifer is going to be something that we'd like to look at with these.
If we store the floodwaters, is there any processing required before it's injected?
Yes.
Injected, yes.
Or
Well, even a
recharged?
dry well is a class 5 injection well. Even though if you're not injecting, you're doing it passively, it still requires TCEQ permitting.
But if we plan on proactive recharge, then we've got to have processing of that water before it's recharged, right?
If it doesn't happen through natural infiltration, but yes.
Okay, all right. So there's some expense involved in that too.
There's expense involved in everything.
Yeah, I understand, Jeff. I know. I just wondered if it had to be processed.
So right now what Culberson County is looking at, and maybe somebody from Culberson County is here could speak more intelligently about this, but they're going to set up silt traps and things like that. And TCEQ is, there's not a good process yet because these are new ideas. But anyway, seems like our region's in a position to lead on this issue.
Absolutely.
And Chair, if I may, I wonder if the proposed additional funding that they're looking at allocating for water projects through the legislature with this session, if those kinds of things would be allowed. And I know that there's some crossover with the water planning group. This is something that Scott Reiner talks about often in terms of how can we get this these floodwaters to be part of the recharge. So right. I think there's opportunities for us to cross over.
Okay.
Yeah. This is
and there's research out of Arizona that shows that these rehabilitated uplands not only and I'm talking about stream restoration and green infrastructure here, that they not only don't take from downstream users, so they provide more water to downstream users. So healthy watersheds have a large capacity to store and hold water. And I think we should speak more actively about that topic. So I'll get off my high horse now.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate the information.
Go ahead.
No, that's good. Next one is Kermit City. So we had a meeting with them. They were able to identify 3 locations that led to 4 projects. In yellow is the East Austin Street. They're getting ponding in that area, primarily coming from the north in their experiences. There isn't recent detailed modeling, so that was something they would like evaluated. On the center, more towards the south, the bottom of the picture, there is, I believe that's Jeff and Jim Sharp Boulevard. They're getting some ponding in that area. It's primarily urban drainage, just from low slopes there. There isn't any place for the water to go. So that's a place they'd like to figure out where it's coming from, where it's going, how they can move it and use it more appropriately. On the west side is in red is Standard Avenue. They've had some significant flooding there in storm events. primarily coming again from the north side. In blue is a basin they would like to look at constructing to potentially, retain some of that water. You can see there that inside that basin perimeter is mostly already green. It's an area that has existing ponding, and it has prevented development of that area, but they would like to make more effective use of that, have something designed to retain water and also potentially provide elevation change where they can improve their drainage citywide if they have, some created slope to drain water from where it's needed into a basin, into a pond, have that water available. Good. Presidio. So on the left side of the screen, you're going to see 4 lines there, 1 in green, 3 in blue. The green one is an arroyo that dumps onto a roadway there, and then it flows either over top or through culverts on that roadway, and then through the city. It doesn't impact roadways significantly, but there is some small impacts to houses, and you can kind of trace the green path through there that the water takes. Right now, a lot of that water is, detained north of the roadway because it was flooding and it was causing issues. And so that's something that they would like evaluated to figure out what the volume of water is, what the annual chance events that they're seeing impacts are, and what that is in this area. The 3 blue lines represent arroyos that have had significant issues with low water crossings and preventing access. During storm events, water flows down these, and while it doesn't lead to many flooding in houses due to some channels that are there, it does close off roads as the water gets pretty deep and pretty quick during storm events. They've had issues with EMS being able to make it to other parts of the community and to respond to emergencies in that situation. So they would like to look at getting either some upgrades, some warning systems, or some other infrastructure there to figure out how to best alleviate that issue of emergency response. On the right side of the screen, you'll see in blue, there's a blue hollow rectangle, and then 2 or 3 hatched blue polygons. The 3 hatched blue polygons are proposed basins with funding from EPA that another group is handling there. They're mostly for just rainwater collection kind of thing, not a purposeful stormwater issue. But these are proposed, they've gotten funding, but construction has not started yet. So we'll be, working with their models to see what's going on. But Presidio also recognized the area in blue without hatching as an area where they're seeing a lot of ponded water. Currently, there are some structures there that are getting impacted and have been impacted in recent memory. They want to know what storm events are impacting that area, if that area can be better used for green infrastructure, retention, detention, and if that will alleviate some of the flooding they're seeing along the 2 red lines leading south out of that area. Development of either of those are not contingent on each other. Some may happen, some may not. And so we are evaluating both the ponding area in blue and the flow across the street in red as 2 separate projects. Okay. This is San Elizario. They have a lot of road crossings that get inundated with floodwaters during storm events. It's not impacting a lot of structures, but it is, again, prohibiting impacts of EMS and response and movement through the city. They would like to figure out where this water is coming from. They don't have recent detailed modeling showing that and showing where it could go. So on the left, in orange, you'll see one intersection. And on the left side of the image in blue, it can be a little difficult to see on some screens, there is another T intersection. And on the right, on the top, there is a T intersection in red. Those are the 3 intersections that they're interested in. On the left image, on the bottom of the image there, you will see a building in orange and 2 red rectangles. This is the historic district of San Elizario, and that's the historic chapel there. Those 2 small red rectangles are inlets. Those have been used to control, water in those areas in the past. So historically, we've been told that they lead to underground infiltration zones. That information is dated and suspect. We don't know the sizing. We don't know the condition. In historic, from accounts from people in the area, those do generally fill up with water and pond in those areas, and those grates are not actually draining the water away. So they would like to look at rehabilitating those if possible. There is also the potential for a basin, which is the blue hatching there. They want to see if they could make more efficient use of that area to retain or detain water. On the right side of the image, you'll see a purple rectangle and a green hatched area. This is currently a park. They would like to look at green infrastructure improvements in that area. There is a small basin, but they'd like to encompass more green infrastructure throughout the park instead of just a basin on the north side of it. So those 3 intersections, the historic district, the basin, and the green infrastructure in the park are all the projects that are submitted on behalf of San Elizario. Next. This is Sonora. So on the left is Nancy Drive. This is the low water crossing there that becomes inundated in storm events. It's the main access point for the community on the bottom side of that image. They've asked us to look at modeling that and figuring out a way to either divert the flow, upgrade the structure, or do something to do that. So we're looking at doing 30% for that. On the right side is some low water crossings near Quail Mesa Colonia. It's primarily used to access the agricultural land on the right side of that image. And this is something that they identified as a concern for them. Some of these low water crossings are pedestrian and some are for vehicle traffic. Next. This is Ward County. We have 2 main projects here. So on the left side, there is a red line and blue arrows. I can't remember the name of the road in this one. The road becomes inundated in red with flow primarily coming down the 4 blue lines, those roads there. They're looking at finding a way to move that flow off the street. On the right side, you'll see 2 orange arrows. Flow progresses down those streets during storm events, and they're looking at a similar thing to figure out where it's coming from, where it's going, and how to prevent it from impacting the roadways. Next, I believe that might be the end. Yeah.
Any questions on any of those slides? Okay, I want to bring up one thing before I let AECOM complete here. On the 14th of March, I received an email titled Cycle 2 Existing Conditions Cursory Flood Plan Dataset. And I asked Travis if he might comment on this as to whether that information's been absorbed already in usage or not. So if you will, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So the 2 main data sets that we use that differ from last cycle are the building data sets. So they released that with updated SVIs. So when we looked at impacted structures and impacted areas, we used that data set, which was also released at a similar time than this. And then looking at what buildings are actually in the floodplain, we did use this updated floodplain mapping. We compared it to the previous floodplain mapping that we had created as part of cycle 1, and this did present a more complete picture. We completed the previous one in 2023, and we stopped kind of accepting new models midway through that. There wasn't, there are ongoing studies all the time, and some of those studies were completed in 2022 or 2023 and didn't have time to be accepted into that cycle, but now are included in this existing conditions cursor floodplain data sets and the flood quilt provided by TWDB. So we have included those in this cycle as they're the best and most recent data available.
Okay, good. All right. Any other questions for AECom, Gilbert, Travis? Okay, we'll move on to Annette for RioCog events.
Okay,
Item 7.
if you can put that, let's put the agenda back on there.
Yes.
You can just stop sharing. And then go back to share. If you can go back onto Teams, click on Teams and then go to, then start sharing. Find the window you want. Okay, on your screen. Okay.
And then bring us up
2.
so we can see. Item 7, there you go.
Okay. All right. Okay, so at this time, we will be requesting for the group to approve the incorporated submittals for the amendment. And that includes, let me just go ahead and read it off as we have it here presented. We're requesting approval to incorporate the submitted FMSs and FMEs into the 2023 plan amendment. So all of the information that Travis just provided, all of the communities that he highlighted, these are the ones who would be incorporated into the amendment for the 2023 plan. So at this time, if there's any questions or concerns with any of the submissions, this is the time to do that. But if not, I would ask if anybody would consider making a motion to approve the items as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, who's the second?
I think it's Gilbert. So that-
Okay, Gilbert, okay. I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
And thank you, everyone. Just wanted to let you know that it was a big lift for AECom, Council of Governments, for us to be able to meet with all of these communities individually. But I think the information they provided was vast, and I think we're much more comprehensive because of that. So thank you, AECom.
Thank you.
I agree. I like seeing some of these smaller communities make it into the plan.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And hopefully they will rank high enough by Water Development Board.
Hopefully,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
They have been kind to our region over here, so a lot of the projects are ranking pretty high, so.
That's
we
good.
Hold our fingers crossed for that as
Okay.
well.
Okay, and then, Vice Chair, this will take us now to,
Item 8.
yes, sir, agenda item 8. This is to discuss and approve the officers for the Upper Rio Grande Regional Flood Planning Group. We do this the start of every calendar year, so this is our second meeting that we've had. No, this is our first meeting for calendar year 2025. So we're presenting this to you all right now. Currently, we have Omar Martinez serving as our chair. Dave Hall is serving as the vice chair, and Javier Acosta is serving as the secretary. And we had discussions with all three of these individuals in terms of their interest in wanting to participate in this calendar year. So Dave Hall has accepted to be serving as the vice chair. If you all you would like to be considered for the nomination, or he's willing to take it, I should say it like that. Is that all right, Dave?
Yeah, that's fine. But if somebody else is interested in doing it now, I'm more than happy to surrender to that person too, but I'll be happy to do it if you still want me to.
That's what
You
you get
do
for
a
doing.
wonderful job, Dave.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree. You're doing great.
Gee, thanks.
That's what you get for doing good. So, and then Omar Martinez is serving as our chair. He said that once again, he can serve as the chair, but he is willing to step down. I know that he has a significant amount of more commitments through his position at the city of El Paso. So it has been a bit more challenging for him to serve in that capacity. And Javier Acosta has agreed to continue to serve as the secretary, but he is also willing to serve as the chair if the group were wanting to consider that option as well. So if he did want to, if you all did choose in having him serve as the chair, we would need someone to come up to secretary. So these are the options for you all. So again, just to reiterate, Omar can continue, but is willing to step off. Dave Hall, vice chair, we're not giving him an option. And then Javier Acosta, secretary, but can also serve as the chair. So would anybody like to make a motion or have discussion, or if anybody else would like to self-nominate for this position, this is the time to do that as well.
Well, I guess the question is, Javier, are you interested in becoming a chair?
So Javier's not on the call.
Oh, okay.
Larissa's serving in his place, so we can make all the decisions we want.
Exactly. Sign him up.
Yes, but so I guess that if I can be a bit, if I can make some assumptions here, if Javier is to elevate to president, would anybody be willing to serve as the secretary? And that is probably the most less taxing position. You may have to serve as the chair for the meeting if the vice and chair are not available, but other than that, it's reviewing the minutes and signing your name on that document. So that's the bare minimum.
And the chair has to be present, right? They have to be in El Paso for the meetings.
Or we go to you, or we can go to you if you're chair. We'll have our meetings at Alpine from here on out. Jeff.
I'm not volunteering. I'm just suggesting if somebody were to move up to secretary, they would have to be willing to, I mean, that's part of the deal. So.
Well, for chair, just for chair, but for secretary, you can be
If,
anywhere.
if they had to serve as chair, though, they would need to be in El Paso where the meeting would need to go to them, correct?
You are correct.
I'd like to clarify. The chair does not have to be present here. Wherever the chair is, the meeting has to be open to the public. So if the chair was wherever they're at, their office or their place of hosting the meeting would have to be open to the public. So it doesn't technically have to be here per the Texas Open Meetings Act, but it does have to be wherever the chair is. So say if the chair can't make it, then the secretary could in effect host the meeting where he's at, but that would have to be on the agenda itself when the agenda gets posted.
Okay, so I understood it as wherever the chair is, that's where we're hosting the meeting publicly. So with that clarification, that makes it a bit more, even more flexible.
Larissa, has Javier indicated he's interested in being the chair?
He may not have to Larissa, but he did to us at the Council of Governments.
He did.
Mhm.
Right, right.
Omar, I know, is really busy.
He's
I
very
mean,
busy.
today's a good example. He's not in the call, you know.
Mhm.
I think that would be a good idea if we can do it, you know, that's.
I think Javier, obviously, having both sets of understanding, public sector and private sector, and I think that's a really good balance. And
Le digo a Julio que nomás dile que me hable, nomás dile, hey, háblale a René.
that's Renee. Can you mute him?
Llévame que está al mero fondo. Cuando entras hay tres cabrones así.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. All right, Renee. Renee's now the chair. Renee's going to serve as the chair.
What did he say? Oh, really? Uh-oh.
No, but so is anybody willing to serve as secretary? I promise you, it's not. It's the least. Look, there's Stella. Is that Isela?
I can serve as secretary.
Oh,
Right. Way to go, Isela.
Unless somebody else wants to, that's fine with me.
Too late. You.
Thanks
opened
for
the mic.
volunteering. Too late.
I know, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess we need a motion then for Javier to be chair, myself to be vice chair, and Gisela to be secretary.
So moved.
That was fast. Okay, so we have a motion from Jeff Bennett. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Levi. Okay, Chair, we have a first and a second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please raise hand or say aye.
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 Any opposed? Giselle, you're not allowed to vote against it. Okay, motion passes We have a new chair and old host, vice chair, and a new secretary. All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay. We'll be ready to move on to number 9.
Yeah.
So for agenda item 9, this is to discuss the nominations for vacancies and voting members. And if you all recall, some time ago, you had given us authorization to post for the vacancies of agriculture interests as well as generating electric utilities. We did receive a nomination for generating electric utilities. And so what we'll be asking for you today is just, we want to introduce you to the nominee. And what we can do then is after we do the introduction, maybe have some discussion, we will post on the March 27th meeting approval to bring this individual on as that position, for that position exclusively. So we do have, help me. Terra Solis. I knew I was going to mess up her first name. Terra Solis. And so Ms. Solis comes to us from El Paso Electric. She is currently serving as their senior environmental engineer. And she has been with this organization since September of 2024. And she's also, in addition to being a PG, she's also getting her certified environmental professional certificate as well. And so that she's in training for that also. And I think if it's okay, Ms. Solis, would you like to just maybe just give a little bit of a background, some of the work that you're doing at El Paso Electric, and if at all, with the discussions that we've been having so far, if there's any possible tie-in with El Paso Electric, anything like that, please feel free to expand upon.
Yes, of course. Thank you. I joined the company about 6 months ago, but my experience goes back 15 years. I've been working not under the title of geologist, so I've been different titles, but all my work has been focused to geology of the region, environmental compliance, hydrogeology, and I've become sort of a guru in geospatial modeling. Excuse me. So flood modeling is becoming one major aspect in my work. We have a special project at the Rio Grande plant that is being the major determinant, excuse me, is the flooding area. I think it's in flood area A. So it is limiting severely anything that we try to build, anything that we try to, any new technology that we want to bring. So I've been spending a lot of time looking at the flood data that's available, and I see a lot of errors. When you look at it in a zoomed out point of view, it looks really great. But when you're working in really specific, like smaller regions, there's a lot of details that need to be addressed. So I find myself having to clean a lot of the data, and I've been wishing I could, modify some of the data, how it's entered. So coming into this group, I think it gives me a good opportunity to give you the problems, how we face those problems here at El Paso Electric, how they affect us, and be able to do something about it. Before coming to El Paso Electric, I was a geographer at Fort Bliss. So a lot of the formatting of the databases, the geodatabases, resemble how the military uses them. So I'm very familiar with how the data is entered, all the domains, all the formatting of this information is centered, and the importance of the data being good and good quality. Right now, my major position is focused on compliance, environmental compliance, but geology is incredibly important for any aspect, anything that you do in your career. It is determined by the geology of the region. And I think I'm very I have good experience. I wouldn't say I'm the most experienced in the company, but I have a pretty good experience in this region.
Do you have anybody have any questions for Ms. Elise?
She's also on the water planning group, right?
I don't believe so.
Wasn't she representing
Elise-
electric on the water planning group?
Are you
too?
also on the water planning group? I don't think so, but
Who was representing electric there?
I don't remember, so I'll have to
Okay,
get that for you.
alright.
No,
But Ms.
I'm not in the group. I'm just familiar with the group, but I'm not officially part of the group.
Okay, all right. Who's you in?
I will have to get that for you.
There.
That's Peggy's
I
area
know we
now.
have
I
an
don't,
electric
I'll
rep
find
there.
out.
Okay.
I will find out for you.
Okay.
But yes, so so what we'll do is we will post this on the agenda for next week with the action item to have the group approve Ms. Solis. We still need to fill a vacancy for agriculture, so we'll have to start that process up once again. And so when we do that, we'll nudge each of you just to see if maybe there's someone that you all think would be interested in serving in that position so we can have that filled as well. Are there any questions?
I mean, somebody representing agriculture, do they need to be from an agency or can it be a private landowner
It could be a private landowner,
or a ranch manager?
as long as they have knowledge of that industry. And Nick, am I saying that correctly? Yeah. So yes, if you know of anybody, Jeff, okay. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much, Ms. Solis. We appreciate you sitting in for this meeting, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item 10.
Yes, so item 10, this one here is an item that was brought by Mr. Martinez, so I'll just go ahead and cover it. This is to discuss and take appropriate action to include a new voting member who is a floodplain administrator. If you all remember, some time before, Omar had talked about maybe the necessity or ensuring that there was a holistic manner in the flood planning group to include someone from City of El Paso who is the floodplain administrator. And so he wanted to have this item being considered for us to include a new voting member. And so we did review our bylaws, and it does allow for the planning group to include additional members. It needs to be approved by 2/3. And so if you all were to be amenable to this request, it would be, the motion would be to allow Mr. Villalobos, Oscar Villalobos, to serve as the floodplain administrator position for the Upper Rio Grande Region Flood Planning Group 14. Are there any questions for me on this item?
Is he a city employee?
He is a city employee.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Omar a while back, and so definitely we need the floodplain administrator for the city of El Paso to be involved and be a voting member on all these decisions that we're doing, especially because he represents the city of El Paso. So I move to approve if there's no further discussion, but I think it's important.
I'll second.
And
So
I'm sorry,
we-
who was the second?
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion of including Oscar Villalobos as the floodplain administrator, serving as a floodplain administrator and voting member? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Go ahead, Larissa, say aye. You were about
Aye.
to say. All right.
Okay, any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Now will that change our,
Yes, it'll increase our quorum, yes, sir.
so it push us to 8, or will it still be at 7?
Well, I think it might push us to 9 because we'll have 2 coming in.
2 more,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm. That's
Well,
okay, we can do
The
it.
new one doesn't come in until after
Well,
we
you're right. 8.
chair next week,
Yes.
so it would just be 8.
I don't know why I even bother challenging Dave. I have never been right once in my life, so I just need to shake my head and say, yes, sir.
No,
Right.
Yeah, you're
A
right.
girl can dream.
You're right most of the time.
No, I'm not.
Okay, I guess we're ready for number 11 then, item
Yes.
11.
Yes, sir. So this is discuss and take appropriate action to authorize the Rio Grande Council of Governments sponsor to execute an amendment to the contract with Texas Water Development Board to extend the interim submittal deadlines for the 2028 regional flood plans. And just a bit of background on this one. This is a request that has been passed on to us from Water Development Board to allow the deadline submittal to be revised. And so what we're asking for is what all of the other regional flood planning groups are asking for as well. Nick, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
I did just notice something. Y'all are gonna need to get approval from them for also amending the tech consultants.
Okay.
Yep.
So we can do that for the
You can
27th
do the
as well.
27th, just add it to the agenda,
Okay,
but the TWB one's fine.
okay.
So these deadlines are changing for everybody?
Yes. Everybody, as well as any subcontracts. I don't think the subcontracts have any dates on them, so I don't believe that tech consultants are beholden to amend them.
Okay. So this is just an administrative function?
Yes, this is just an administrative function
Okay.
to move timeline back.
I guess we need to get a motion to approve. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second that.
Okay,
Can we, Mr. Rodriguez, can you put your mic, your camera on if possible and
I'm
make that?
trying, but I got a new PC and trying to turn this thing on and I can't.
Okay, if we can do this and just as a safeguard, if Isela, would you like to make the motion? Since your
I'll make the
camera,
motion.
and then we need a second.
Second.
I can't, we can't do that
I know,
without
I
a
know,
camera.
I know, I know.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
okay, so Gilbert Saldana will second. Okay.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Rene.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All approved, hand up or aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Thank you, motion passes.
Okay.
And we're ready for number 12.
Yes, so number 12, this is discuss and take appropriate action to include a representative from the Texas Department of Transportation through the El Paso District Office as a non-voting member. And if you all were to approve this request, we would be asking for Mr. Antonio Santana to serve as the non-voting representative from TxDOT.
Any discussion? We have a motion to accept
Motion to approve.
Okay, Gilbert Saldana.
and a second.
Second.
Okay, Jeff Bennett.
Okay, any discussion now after the motions? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, and the hand up helps. Okay, any opposed? Motion passes. Now let me look and see what's next. 13 up for the next meeting.
Yes, sir. So our next meeting will be again a week from today. It'll be on March 27th and we'll have it at 1 p.m. And I promise you it'll be a short meeting. At this point, I think we have 3 agenda items. It's going to be the approval for generating electric utilities, the approval of the amendment plan after public comments, the subcontract with AECom. So those are 3 right now that I can think off the top of my head. So it'll be a short meeting, 1 o'clock on March 27th. We'll send an update to the calendar invite with the time change.
Okay,
So,
I guess-
I have a
Go ahead.
question. When does the new chair, vice chair and secretary, when is that effective?
That will be Thursday.
That would be, okay. So then do I have to be at the COG or I can be through Teams?
You
I
can
just
be
want
on,
to get clarification again.
yes, the one that we will be, well, I will verify with Nick again, just to make sure I understand the process, but if Javier can be here at the COG, I think that's probably the best thing to do, just with everything that we have the setup. So I will be asking Javier to be here in person, but the vice chair and the secretary do not have to if you so choose.
well, I'll be here anyway. So
Yes, but they will.
we know I'll be here.
Yes.
So Javier can do remote if he wants to. It's up to him.
No, Javier, wouldn't he have to be at the COG?
Well, I
Is the
think,
chair?
and Nick, you're saying, once again, you're saying if the COG says the meeting location will be, a public meeting will be here at the COG, Javier can be somewhere else.
No, if the
Yes.
public meeting says on the agenda that it's going to be held here, then he needs to be here.
Oh, yeah.
However,
That's how-
if it does say on the, if you can take a look at Region 15, they do this where at the bottom, it says it's a virtual meeting, but if members of the public would like to come and be a part of the open meeting, the chair's office or place of work has to be open to accepting
Oh,
participants.
Well, then I think we were on the same page.
Yes.
So I don't think Javier wants me to be at his office to have the meeting, so Javier will be here.
Yeah.
Yes, but you do not have to be here. He's-
Okay, good, because I do have another meeting from 12 to 1, so have back-to-back meetings. Okay,
Good. Thank you.
that works. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
I guess we need a motion to adjourn unless there's, oh, you know what? I usually offer the public, any comments from anybody in the public before we adjourn? Hearing none, I need a motion for adjourn
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. And I'm not even going to ask for discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
See
you.
you all.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.